Raj Chhaya, líder en la venta social LinkedIn Chicago.
There it is, MEDMI. Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me here. My name is Raj Chhaya, and I'm an account executive at LinkedIn. And before we get started, I just want to give a huge round of applause and a shout out to all the speakers here, the MEDMI team for putting together such an incredible conference. It's awesome. I'm loving it. I haven't been able to understand a whole lot, but I'm still enjoying meeting all the new faces here and connecting with all of you. Some of you are probably wondering, how did MEDMI get a guy from Chicago to come speak to all of you today? And that's probably a fair guess to make, but the reason is they asked the most handsome sales rep in Chicago to come speak to you, so I'm here today for that reason. No, jokes aside, I'm here to talk to you about the power of social selling and what LinkedIn really is. So, raise of hands, how many of you have a Facebook? Raise of hands. Okay, everyone. How many of you have an Instagram? Raise of hands. Okay. How many of you have a Twitter? Oh, not that many people on Twitter. How many of you have a LinkedIn? Awesome. I love to see that. And hopefully by the end of the speech, all those hands will go up. Like I mentioned, I'm an account executive at LinkedIn. Before I go further into my job and what I do, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background, how I view sales today, how did I even get in this position, and where that all came from. My sales career started off very uniquely. It started off as a door-to-door salesman. So I was that guy right there. I used to go around knocking on doors, selling paint to neighborhoods and houses. And the door would get shut on me constantly. I got rejection after rejection after rejection. And it was a pretty rough period in my life. I'm sure you all have similar experiences. Maybe it's work-related where you didn't get the job you wanted or the promotion you wanted. And it was a really invaluable lesson for me because it really shaped my career trajectory. I used that experience of getting rejected day in and day out, and I realized I had to adapt. I had to get creative. I had to create a strategy in order to be successful. Fortunately, I've used those experiences, and I've been able to work at some Fortune 500 companies like PepsiCo, Thomson Reuters, and now LinkedIn. And it really pushed me to learn the valuable skill set of being able to talk with people about anything, building relationships. I learned the value of getting layers deeper with people. Because once you build that relationship and identify the human connection, sales can go a long way. How many of you are in sales or have sold something before? Anyone? Okay, a few of you. Well, honestly, everything is a type of sale. All the men in the room, when you went on your first dates with your ladies, you were selling yourself, this handsome, charming guy. Who here is married? Raise of hands. Now, I bet your wives were sold on that dream that they might think is more of a nightmare now, right? Sales has become a lot more consultative over the last few years. People have been selling for as long as they've existed. When it comes down to it, really, everything is a type of sale. Every interview you've ever had, every job you've ever gone for, you're selling them on yourself, on your background, on your ability to do Microsoft Excel proficiently. As I speak, I'm selling you on the ideas I believe. But sales as an art form has evolved quite a bit over time. Now, sales was a really interesting concept, how it got developed. There was a method called science-based sales by a man named Gary Nablo. He said you can tell how good a prospect or a customer is based on the size of their forehead. He said that high foreheads leave room for larger development and indicate people are less likely to resist a prospect based on the size of their forehead. Obviously, there was no science behind this, but people used to sell like this. They would look at someone and see if they had a big forehead and think that's a good opportunity. I see some men here losing your hair. You'll make great candidates for these salesmen. One of the worst things to happen in sales history is that guy, Clark Stanley, the snake-oiled salesman. Now, he worked with Chinese laborers to create a medicinal snake oil that he would sell to people. He would say that it has magical healing abilities. He would tell old people it'll make you younger. He'll tell young people it'll make you older. He claimed it did a ton, when in reality, it did nothing. And this fundamental concept has put a lot of deep mistrust within individuals in sales. He robbed people of lots of money, and he left a horrible stigma until this day. Whenever people have a deep mistrust with a salesperson today, they say he's the snake-oiled salesman. I looked at a list of individuals here, and looks like none of you are snake-oil salesmen, which is great news. And you all have great foreheads. Which brings us to the question, how did we get here? Sales leaders in the 1980s realized that customers will make a purchase if they realize that there's an inherent need for a product in their lives, which led to spin selling, S-P-I-N, which stands for solution, problem, implication, and needs payoff. This led to how we sell today. It's a 4-step process in understanding the customer and what their needs are. Think of it like a doctor, right? You can't go into a doctor's office and get prescribed medicine because they have no idea what to prescribe. In the same concept, when we look at sales and business, we have to understand what the concept is, what the customer wants. So when we look at a situation, we really have to understand, okay, what are we solving for here? What is the problem that the customer is having? So questions can be like, tell me about your business. What are some challenges you're having? What's stopping you from growing? That's what I do at LinkedIn. I handle over 500 accounts across North America in all sorts of industries to help them become more efficient. I work with sales teams, marketing teams, and business development teams to sell on LinkedIn, to spread the message of what their business is. Today, technology is adapting quick, and we all have to be on the trend because your competition's doing it. So the question is, how do we do it? We follow the spin process. So, situation, figure out, okay, what are we here for? Why are we here? Problem, what's the problem we're trying to solve with our customer? Implication, if I solve this problem, how is that going to help you? And then the needs payoff. What's in it for the customer? If you can help your customer minimize any sort of problem that they have, what's the benefit for them? The answer should be very high. As the doctor telling a patient to exercise more if they have high cholesterol, they're going to live longer. This is the solution that we need to bring to the table. There's a method called the Challenger method. And basically, anyone familiar with this, the Challenger method? All of us fall into a category of these 5 sales reps. You can be the hard worker, the challenger who's not afraid to push back, but also keeps it professional. The relationship builder, someone who leverages relationships in the buying process. The lone wolf, who they just follow their gut instinct. They know what is right, and they're going to go after it. Or the problem solver, someone who approaches it very strategically, someone who wants to come in and fix whatever the problem is right away. A company called CEB did research into this and created this thing called the Challenger sale. It's pretty straightforward. It's someone who's willing to challenge their customer into what they're saying. This doesn't mean they do it in a way that's hostile or trying to shame the customer. Instead, it's about combining the ability to teach, tailor, and take control while also keeping the tensions at a good level. It's important to teach your customers how your solution is different. Sales reps have to be well-versed in the industry. We have to be thought leaders, because if you're coming to someone and having them invest in you, you should know everything there is with their problem and how to solve it. Your customer is going to push back. Anyone here in sales knows that. And they should. Think about it. When you're buying something, you don't just hand someone your credit card and tell them to charge it. It takes a lot to convince someone to buy. You have to constantly apply pressure, constantly challenge someone to be a great salesperson. LinkedIn has 4 business lines. There's LinkedIn Talent, which focuses on recruiting the top talent across the world. You could be in North America, you could be in South America, you could be rich, you could be poor. But as long as you have the skills that it takes, and if you're on LinkedIn, you're able to publicly put your professional resume online. It is the largest professional network ever. I want to give a quick shout out to Diego over here. He talked a little bit about LinkedIn Learning today. This is something that's interesting, and I wanted to bring that up to all of you. LinkedIn Learning is an e-learning website where you can get certified in literally anything you want. It could be how to play the trumpet. It could be sales. It could be marketing. And Diego over here, he is a busy man. He has his hand in all sorts of different pots, and he's still taking time to go and do the e-learning certifications. So the question is, why aren't we all? It's online, we all have access to it, and if we want to improve ourselves and get to the next level, it's the steps we need to take. There's also LinkedIn marketing. So if you have a business today, you want to make sure you're marketing it appropriately, and you want to be public with it. You want to spread the message of what you're doing, why people should care, and how it's going to help. And the way LinkedIn marketing does that is they'll take your business, get a profile on who you are, what the business is, what the goals are, who's the target demographic, and help you advertise it on our platform. Then there's LinkedIn Sales, which is what I'm part of, helping sales teams, business development teams, and marketing teams sell on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has 650 million people on it. So good chances are your customer is probably on LinkedIn too. This is our CEO, Jeff Weiner. LinkedIn was created in 2003 by a couple of Stanford graduates, Reid Hoffman being the lead founder. It went through a lot of changes through its company history. It started as a place to just simply host your resume online and slowly build your professional network. Today, it allows you to connect with people globally, build relationships, network, post jobs, find jobs, sell, advertise, and learn. In 2008, Jeff Weiner became the CEO of what would be LinkedIn today. And we were able to expand our footprint beyond just being an online professional network. People aren't adding just their friends and college mates and colleagues anymore. People are connecting with people across the world, actively sharing the work that they're doing, and engaging with people's posts. Today, LinkedIn has over 650 million folks on it, on the platform. It also has 30 million jobs. It has 85 million people alone in the Latin American market. And we're looking to grow that tremendously. LinkedIn just opened up an office in Mexico City. So really having to understand now that LinkedIn has this massive ecosystem of 650 million individuals, how do we tap into that? Using LinkedIn's massive consumer system, we created a tool called Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is the most professional way to engage with someone without being too salesy. The stats are this. We want to help people acquire new business, companies. We want to help people expand the current relationships that they already have. Just because you made a sale, that shouldn't be the end of the road. That should be the beginning of a partnership where you can hopefully optimize the services and continue to upsell that client. And we also want to help people maximize productivity. We're all busy. So how do we get on LinkedIn and target exactly who we want to connect with? How do we understand what their needs are? And then how do we engage with them to stand out amongst the mix? As I mentioned, 650 million members, 30 million companies, 20 million jobs, 50,000 different sets of skills that you can learn on LinkedIn. 90,000 schools, colleges, universities are on LinkedIn now. And 242 billion different types of knowledges and skills that people have posted. Whether you're into coding, whether you're into sales, marketing, the time is now to be on LinkedIn. So this brings us to understanding how to use LinkedIn. Given the 650 million members, there's really no other database in the world that will provide more up-to-date information as you get ready for your sale. The stats are this. People are not interested in cold emails anymore. How many executives do we have in the room? Any executives? Diego, I know you are, so I'm going to pick on you. How many emails a day do you get? You might be able to answer that. A lot? They're saying that senior leaders get 40 emails a day. So if you're someone trying to connect with a senior leader, if you're someone trying to engage with them, you can't just shoot them an email. They're not going to care. So the stats are this. It's twice as difficult to reach a prospect than it was 10 years ago. People don't want a cold call. They don't want a cold email. They want someone who's friendly, who understands what they need. And that's how we see people engaging on LinkedIn, connecting with them, engaging with the content that they're sharing, putting their own personal brand on there. So if I were to check out your LinkedIn profile, I can say, oh, this guy is legit. Let's connect. Customer revenue is more exposed as well. On average, they're saying there's 7 more people than there used to be making a decision of any sort of business decision. Think about a decision that you all have made at your job or your company. There's a lot of people involved. So how do we identify who we want to talk to? How do we understand who's all involved in the buying process? And then how do we engage with them? And then lastly, 36% of time is spent selling for your average sales rep. That's not a lot of time to sell. There's people that are traveling, people that are doing all sorts of things. So how do we make that 36% as efficient as possible for your sales teams and for other organizations? The key to social selling is to be social, not selling. We want you all to build relationships, connect with people, and understand what they need. Finding them is only part of the story, though, because 77% of buyers feel that they don't actually understand what the needs are. Can you imagine over 3/4 of people still feeling like they're dealing with that snake oil salesman I was talking about? This is where we really get to harness the power of what social selling is, because we're helping you keep track of these people and understand what these insights are, turning that cold call or cold email into a warmer outreach. I also want to do a deep dive on a customer's background and understand their history, because at LinkedIn, we care about what people are posting on the content side. And as I look at all sorts of different profiles daily, it's important to keep that personal brand alive, because if you're not posting LinkedIn, if you're not having a picture on your profile, you're just someone who's going to get lost in the crowd. So you want to stand out amongst the mix. And there's so many different resources online to figure out how to make your profile a rockstar LinkedIn profile. It's sharing content that's relevant in your industry, connecting with thought leaders, following influencers like Jeff Weiner, Barack Obama, Bill Gates. They're all on LinkedIn posting relevant content that could be helpful to you as well. So I want to conclude with this. It's important to understand that the folks that didn't raise their hand earlier, it's time to get on LinkedIn and build that profile and really understand how you can better level up yourself, because at the end of the day, we're trying to always improve and constantly getting together. And I'd like to just thank all of you. It's been a great experience connecting with so many different faces. There's so many different ventures going on right now, and I just think it's a great time to be with you guys. So thanks so much. Appreciate it. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Any questions on LinkedIn or how to social sell? Good? Awesome. Thanks, guys.